Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the channel and welcome back to the channel. If you're already here as a subscriber and a member, especially, I always want to say thank you for, for your support for the channel and for me. It's another Tuesday in America, and never a shortage of things for us to look at. I am going to revisit many of you. I'm getting many emails, and I get it. We're all really caught up in the redistricting wars and so many developments that are taking place, in real time, like crazy. Now we've got Alabama also in the mix and trying to fight, what's being done there. A lot of these lawsuits now that are being civil rights organizations, ACLU, many of you know about this, that are joining their ranks and filing the lawsuits. I have looked at that, and so to the extent that some of these lawsuits are going to land in front of the Supreme Court, it's looking iffy. Can't say it any other way. It's looking iffy. But I am getting, talking about how this ends, how these redistricting wars end, and do they wind up costing the GOP in, rather than it ultimately being beneficial. Remembering as well, you all, so much of this is designed, deliberately designed. When the justices went to dinner with Trump the night before they issued that ruling on the Voting Rights Act, it was all in place. And these states knew about it. They moved way too fast to just jump right on. Louisiana, Alabama, of course, we're talking about that, Tennessee, Virginia, challenging all of that. So, what I want to look at is I'll take a deep breath, right? I want to look at how does this end? And does this backfire ultimately? Does this backfire? All right. Thank you, Spirit. How do these redistricting wars end? Do these races still go in the Democrats' favor? I've got the Queen of Wands at the bottom of the deck. I never ignore that. I'm going to sit her over to the side and I'm going to do a Celtic cross. Will these, the Four of Pentacles comes at the center. People wanting and demanding that the guardrails hold for democracy, for their rights to vote and vote as they choose. The Knight of Cups crosses that. A lot of this is the fight that will continue to go on by attorneys generals, by different organizations like the NAACP, ACLU. This is joining ranks to continue to resist and challenge, the Empress at the bottom of the deck. What's really in the best interest of the people, of all states, democracy in general, and that it's growing. We know that the Empress represents growth and abundance. And so this is a growing effort. So I actually, so far, the way the cards are falling, I see this as really positive, you all, because it shows that rather than diminish people's will, this is just really lighting a fire under people from across the nation. We've got the Hierophant in the past position. This is the government. All of this designed to create chaos and make people feel that it's hopeless. What can we do? We've got the King of Wands at the top of the staff overseeing this. I don't feel like this is a person. I feel like this is an energy, meaning there will be a number of both elected leaders, candidates, and organizational leaders who are going to light the fire to speak out and continue this fight. Notice that's Bernie in that card. I'm reading from the America Eclipse deck today. That's Bernie Sanders there. In the near future, the Emperor, Trump, I'm going to cross that in a minute. The Magician comes at the bottom of the staff. I love that, you all, because that is representing, again, every mechanism that you can imagine to protect, for people to continue to protect their rights. This will not diminish to the extent that all of this was designed to get people to back off and basically say, okay, we're done, it is having the exact opposite effect. We have the Eight of Swords surrounding the magician. That has to do with, there are so many options available. Primarily right now we're seeing through legislatively and legally, right? Challenging these decisions. Resist is the, see that, I love that. Resist by creating every mechanism possible to fight it. And I'm getting that that's not just through the courts. We've got the Queen of Swords in the hopes and fears position. How to continue to communicate this in a way, communicate what's happening in a way that people can trust, because a lot of what's happening is designed to, the misinformation, the taking over media outlets who are afraid to touch so many of these topics right now. And we have the Nine of Cups and as the outcome card, the people's wishes. So our answer, bottom line, Spirit is saying, I think the people's wishes are going to take effect. I want to cross the Emperor in the near future, representing Trump. The Five of Pentacles, exactly. He's losing support, and he will continue to lose support. And in the context of what we're looking at, you all, the ending of these redistricting wars, he's not doing anybody any favors. And I'm also getting the Five of Pentacles is isolation, increased isolation, and a lack of funding. Woo! Okay, I get it. Remember, Trump is sitting on this incredible war chest, funding for GOP candidates across the nation. To what extent are those funds actually going to go to them in these races, in these districts that are being gerrymandered? He doesn't want to spend that money on them. He wants it for himself. And I've got the Ten of Pentacles. Thank you for confirming that. So when I look at he came in the near future position from, but Five of Pentacles crossed with Ten of Pentacles. He's not the funding for a lot of these candidates then who technically should benefit from these gerrymandered maps. The funding that they will need, he's going to be really stingy, and the RNC is going to be stingy with because they've overplayed their hand. How do you continue to parse all of this out in ways that benefit them? Remembering as well that we end with the Nine of Cups. What people wish, what people really desire. Now, and the Wheel of Fortune, karma, that comes on top of the Nine of Cups. I still get that despite everything that's being done, you're going to have, let me ask it straight out, Spirit, will there be two things I'm getting, and I made a note to ask Spirit. One, is this going to result in actually fewer voters in really red areas going out to vote? Is this going to result in the Seven of Wands? Don't know where to go, don't know what to do, feeling like there's a struggle and a fight that they didn't really even, they don't even know why. The Knight of Pentacles, a gamble, and Justice. I love that. All right. This is not, even among the most MAGA of the MAGAs, there's not a level of, there's not enough oomph in the fire in their belly to feel that this is really something that, they're going to line up and completely get behind. I think a lot of them are going to sit it out. And look, sitting there drinking, look, Knight of Cups, like just sitting it out, getting in their cups, don't want to deal with it, sitting it out. And the Eight of Cups, walking away from it. Thank you for that confirmation, Spirit. Absolutely. So you're going to see a diminished vote or a diminished turnout among many of who they're counting on in some of these gerrymandered districts. Now, that said, the part that I can't, and I'm never going to sugarcoat, right? The impact of this on Black representation in particular, there's going to be a lingering impact from that. However, one thing that I saw, maybe many of you did as well, is Jasmine Crockett, who we know is one of the people who's been, terribly impacted by the gerrymandering in Texas. But Jasmine Crockett has announced the formation. I don't know if it's actually done yet, but she's forming a new PAC, Political Action Committee, right? That's going to be a part of her next step, right? So in terms of Black representation in particular, throughout many of these states, in particular in the South, there's a reconfiguration is what Spirit is saying. There's a regrouping so that while it may take a minute to reorganize and come back in the space of a political action committee. This is what I'm getting from Spirit, y'all, is this is different than a typical civil rights organization or civil rights movement. This is directly in the realm of politics and influence within the political spectrum. Will we see more of that in terms of Black representation, and not just Black, but minority representation in general? Will we see more people, figures who are very powerful, like Jasmine Crockett and others who are being impacted? Are we going to see more political action committees formed as a result of the redistricting? Ace of Wands, straight out the deck. Y'all, Spirit ain't playing. If you're with me, you know how it is. With when I get my Ace of Spirit saying straight up yes. And notice that's coming in fire. The creation of something, the momentum behind it, the inspiration to do it, the motivation to see it through. So that to the extent that a lot of us are concerned that, and the King of Pentacles, that rocket taking off in a real way in Pentacles, the will of the people. So yes, we're going to see as a result of this, political power, minority political power, Black political power in general, is it being challenged, and will there be setbacks in terms of adequate representation and fair representation? For the time being, yes. But as a direct result of that, there will be people are not just going to go away and go back into the private sector. There is going to be a different kind of movement that is directly political, that is going to gain tremendous momentum, so that Democrats who are in state offices as well as federal offices will enact legislation, because PACs are just that. They're action committees designed to apply political pressure, right? That's what's going to happen. A lot of this is going to get reversed or changed or amended in some way. The Knight of Wands, the movement continuing to do it behind that Ace of Wands. So you all don't, and death, a rebirth. The leadership will continue for people like Jasmine Crockett and others who are being impacted. It's going to continue. It's just going to have to take a different shape. All right. And in terms of the actual voter turnout, because of these races, Spirit is saying, you're going to get, it's not going to work, period. It's not going to work. The votes are going to be diluted. The GOP voters, many of them are going to sit it out. It ain't happening. All right. Second thing I want to look at quickly today. This one is, keep your eyes peeled. So now we're hearing, bottom line, let me put it straight out there to you. I'm getting something around Trump doing a back end with Don Jr. for a couple of reasons. One, because he recognizes that whenever he meets his end, that his family's in jeopardy. And they're reminding him, we're in jeopardy, right? All kinds of lawsuits, prosecutions, etc. We're starting to see some things with Don Jr. more so on the fringes. Is he trying to put Don Jr. in a position, at the very least, as a vice presidential running mate on the GOP ticket, whether it's Rubio or Vance? And that comes to mind as well, because we've seen him sort of doing these Hunger Games moves between Rubio and Vance, sort of pitting them against one another. We understand that he had it's honoring Police Week. What is it called? Something, National Police Week. I didn't know. National Police Week. So he had a dinner in the Rose Garden yesterday. Rubio wasn't there, but Vance was. And Trump, during his speech, said something to the effect of, "How many of you are really in favor of Vance?" And of course, he's sitting right there, so everybody gives an applause. And then he flips it around and goes, "Well, how many of you think it should be Rubio?" And so he's playing these little pitting them against one another games, Hunger Games, right? Similar to what he did on The Apprentice. Speaking of The Apprentice, we're now hearing that Jeff Bezos on Amazon Prime is considering a relaunch of The Apprentice, featuring who as a host? Don Jr. Much of Trump's appeal to even position him to run, way back in the day, over 10 years ago, was because of his high profile celebrity on The Apprentice. Is he, because Don Jr. and the family know that when Trump exits, they're in trouble. They're in deep trouble. Is this a way to try and shield the family by trying to get Don Jr. in place? Is that the plan? Spirit. Is Trump trying to position Don Jr. to get office, to have office, to take political office, to save them from prosecution, future prosecution? Is he trying to position Don Jr.? Is he trying to give Don Jr. a shot? King of Wands. Ace of Wands. Like, don't even have to work hard for it. There it is. Ace of Wands. Remembering as well, Spirit's reminding me that, if I'm not mistaken, Don Jr. was one of the main proponents around the choice of J.D. Vance for Trump's running mate. The Wheel of Fortune, karma, destiny, trying to avoid the prosecution and having political office, high political office, to avoid that, because they know it's coming. The Four Swords, how do we do it? And so I think the Four Swords is, sometimes you got to sit back and rest for a minute to collect your thoughts and figure out how you're going to move forward. Are we going to see an Apprentice reboot? Has Trump gone to Bezos and trying to do an Apprentice reboot to boost Don Jr.'s Nine of Cups? They definitely want it. It's in discussion. To try and boost his appeal, his celebrity, his stature. Three of Swords may not work. Because Spirit is reminding me, and the Four of Cups may not work, okay? Because Spirit is reminding me when Bezos, when they invested all of that money into the Melania dock, that went absolutely nowhere. They lost a lot of money on that. So there's not a lot of interest in it. So let's jump ahead. Spirit, will we see Don Jr. as a candidate? Will Trump's plan to try and position and protect Don Jr. through elected office, is this going to work? The World, the Knight of Coins or Knight of Pentacles, and the Chariot. I don't think so. I think if anything, he's saying, look, you all going to need to get your money together and potentially leave the country. I really do think that. And many readers and many of you have said that as well, that they know what's coming once Trump exits. They know they're in trouble. And and here comes justice right on time, right? Here comes justice right on time. So I think the only way that they can avoid it doesn't look like trying to replicate Trump's success, through the celebrity route. That's not going to happen for Don Jr. And so their only other and there's the Five of Cups, exactly, the disappointment, recognizing that he just doesn't have it. And even the MAGA faithful are not going to really, line up behind Don Jr. He just does not have it. And it looks like he's not going to be able to get the platform to try and boost it, or at least not in time. So, and then you've got that justice card. So that's not going to happen. But really interesting that that Trump is trying to make these moves, and in the Hunger Games between Rubio and JD, which of you, who am I going to really throw my weight behind to launch for 2028? That to put John Jr. on the ticket, don't think it's going to happen. All right, you all. Thank you so much again for being with me. I really appreciate you. I sold out my Mojo oils like that. I thank you so much. I'm going to now got to get the stuff shipped out. I'll try and do that within by the weekend. But I really appreciate it. And I'm going to continue to make small batches. I put a lot of energy into those oils, spiritually, and the assembly of them. They've got all sorts of herbs and gemstones and fragrances combined. So, and it's about health, it's about protection, it's about love, it's like all of it mojo. It's, that's what I call it, a mojo oil. Some of you have renamed it according to how you intend to use it. Cool with that. But I put a lot of energy, and so I don't put myself in a space of trying to mass produce, because then I'm not I'm not on fire when I'm doing it. And that I have to be, or I want to be, when I create the oil. So keep a lookout. I will continue to produce them in small batches and announce them. And it's first come, first serve. But I really appreciate your support. I'm glad you're excited about them, and I'm excited for you to use them and hear your feedback about them. All right? Chin up, shoulders back, more than ever. It is hurtful. It is hard. But the people and the generations who have come before us faced worse. Keep that in your heart. Lock that deep inside. Sky above you and the earth always beneath you. All right, holding you steady. And I'll talk to you a little bit later. Bye.